Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. I thought we should bring home the weekly close. So let me just post this video in a couple different places and then we will jump in. Business as usual, folks, right? Just another week. Time is on our side. You guys know the drill. Let me just post this in the Telegram channel so people know I'm doing it, and then we'll talk about the markets. How's everyone doing today? One more minute. All right. So, all right, here we are. Bitcoin is at, how's everyone doing? All right, let's jump in. All right, so the reason why I like to do live streams on Sundays is because I like to usher in the weekly close. You guys know that we generally talk about weekly candles on this channel because, I mean, of course we do talk about daily candles, but weekly candles are really, I think, this is the way you should really be looking at the market at the very least, right? I mean, daily candles are interesting, and we look at daily candles, but weekly candles I actually enjoy a lot more. You could even, if you want to get super ambitious, you could go to maybe even 2 week candles and see what's going on. But let's keep it at 1 week candles. And one of the reasons why we do live streams at this time is because we generally get a decent amount of volatility around the close. Ethereum's actually about to break 1700, it looks like. So we a lot of times we'll get a lot of volatility at the weekly close. So essentially over the next 35 minutes or so. And it looks like there's even a scammer in the chat who's pretending to be me. I wish this guy had a life. I wish he did something more than pretend to be other people. But he is now blocked. By the way, guys, the scammers, they're getting really bad. So I would encourage you to ignore them. Or you can play along with them if you want. You can lead them on for a while, and then you can tell them to F off, right? So that is my recommendation on how to handle scammers. Tell them to F off. I won't delete your comment if you do. It's fine with me, right? You go tell them to whatever, right? Tell them to do whatever you want, and I will not delete it on the channel because that's probably what they deserve. So by all means, if you see someone in the comments pretending to be me, just ignore them, right? They're posting their BS WhatsApp garbage, or they're telling you that they have some trading for day trading. Just ignore this garbage, right? I mean, whoever's watching the channel who is that scammer, I really think you're the scum of the earth, to be completely honest, because you're basically taking people's hard-earned money away from them so that you can do, God knows what with. So anyways, ignore the scammers. If you join Telegram channels, ignore the people DMing you. It's not me. I will not send you a DM. I will not send you a personal message. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. Okay? Do not fall for the garbage. It's not me. So Ethereum has now broken above $1,700. It's not really that surprising, right? We're looking at a fairly bullish Bitcoin that for now is still below its prior all-time high, meaning that Bitcoin is not currently in price discovery mode. We're still sitting just shy of it, right? I mean, we need to go up another $7,000 or so before Bitcoin could theoretically re-enter price discovery mode. So this is good for Ethereum. Okay. One of the things I've told you is that, okay, the first thing we need is on the daily time frame. Of course, let's pretend like we only talk about weekly time frames, and let's switch back over to the daily. Is being above the 20-day moving average is really good for Ethereum. Now, it doesn't have to, I don't think that Bitcoin has to be above it for Ethereum to rally against Bitcoin, but I think it does help Ethereum's case if Bitcoin is below its prior all-time high, well above the 20-week moving average, and also above its 20-day moving, or above the 20-week, which it is, and also above the 20-day SMA and also the 21-day EMA. So Bitcoin is now sort of in that Goldilocks zone for Ethereum, okay? And this is what you need to like, okay, this is what you need to pay attention to. So, is there any guarantee that Bitcoin will stay in this region? Of course there's not. Okay, of course there's not. But what I'm telling you is that this is the sort of the Goldilocks region for Ethereum. While Bitcoin's below its prior all-time high, above the 20-day and the 21-day EMA, SMA, etc., and hopefully just chilling in this area with some diminished Bitcoin volatility. You can see that we had a lot of Bitcoin volatility here, a lot of Bitcoin volatility here. Over the last few days, it's more or less just going sideways. Yes, it has come up a little bit, but we've seen wicks over here as well the last few days. So this, in my opinion, in my non-financial advice, probably somewhat ignorant opinion of me thinking I know exactly how the markets work, but in my opinion, and what I've lived through in these markets for a long time, it's that this, as long as Bitcoin's below the prior all-time high, this is the Goldilocks zone for Ethereum. So this is what I think you should keep an eye on. If Bitcoin starts to rally and goes above the prior all-time high, by the way, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, definitely subscribe. We're gaining more subscribers than I've ever seen. Like yesterday, the channel grew by 10,000 subscribers in one day. Okay, in one day, it grew by 10,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate the support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I think we're going to hit 200,000 probably within a week at this rate. So definitely subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, turn on your alerts, and let's keep talking. So the catalyst here for Ethereum, and you can see that Ethereum is in fact moving up. I mean, it's at 1716. Now, is it anything to get out of bed for? Probably not, right? We're not going to get out of bed for a $1,700 Ethereum, right? So you can lay your head back on the pillow if you started to think like, oh, is this something worth getting out of bed for? I don't think it's worth getting out of bed for. So lay back down, let's calm down. We still have a long ways to go. Well, the first thing I would say is that what we're looking for is we're looking for Ethereum to get back to 2K. Okay, and we've seen similar dips like this in the past. This is not our first rodeo with this. First of all, we don't know if this is a local top for Bitcoin or not. If it is, then even if it is a local top and we go back down to like 30K or 40K or something, even in that scenario, if Bitcoin holds these levels for a few weeks, then that could be enough of a catalyst to drive Ethereum to 3K, in my opinion, if it can hold these levels and Bitcoin volatility doesn't go back through the roof. So if Bitcoin just sort of chills out at like 50K, 51K, 52, 53K in that sort of Goldilocks zone, then I think there's a decent chance Ethereum will rally. Okay, this is what we're looking for. You can already tell that Ethereum is showing strength. Well, why is it showing strength? You guys know, I mean, Bitcoin has really been calming down here the last few days, right? It had a move here, and then it's been more or less moving sideways for the last week. So we know exactly why Ethereum is starting to show strength. It's not a surprise that Ethereum's moving up. It's because Bitcoin, what did we say needed to happen? When we were over here, what did we say needed to happen? For Ethereum to make a move against Bitcoin. First, you need a Bitcoin correction, okay? So we got the Bitcoin correction. The second thing, you need it to bounce. You need Bitcoin to bounce, because if it just keeps going down, you know, of course, Ethereum's not going to be doing anything substantial. So, you know, I had people thinking that, okay, just because it drops, that means Ethereum's going to rally. No, a lot of times you want to see Bitcoin bounce. You want to see that bounce, but you want the bounce to come up short of the prior all-time high. So that is what you want for Ethereum, okay? You want the bounce to come up short of the prior all-time high for the Ether Bitcoin valuation to make a move. Now, there's 2 out of 3 scenarios, right? And obviously it either goes up, it goes down, or it goes sideways. So if you're able to communicate those 3 possibilities, then you can start your own YouTube channel and then claim it was exactly as you predicted, right? Because that's essentially what we're doing. So, but let's look at the 3 different scenarios, okay? The 3 different scenarios. So if Bitcoin goes sideways, this is good for Ethereum, right? Likely Ethereum goes up. If Bitcoin goes sideways, there's a good chance Ethereum goes up. If Bitcoin goes up, there's a good chance that Ethereum also goes up, but its Bitcoin valuation would bleed. So we're in that sort of range where whether Bitcoin goes up or sideways, it's really good for Ethereum's price, more than likely, right? It's really good for Ethereum's price. The main thing that is not good is if it goes down. But the great thing about that is even if it goes down, if it goes down slowly, Ethereum can still rally. So there's literally 3 different scenarios. Whether Bitcoin goes up, down, or sideways, Ethereum could rally in all 3 of those scenarios. The main scenario where Ethereum would not rally is if the Bitcoin valuation goes down too quickly. Okay, so if we get a Bitcoin capitulation, this is what would not allow Ethereum to rally. But there's so many cases that we're looking at right now, in my opinion, my non-financial advice, again, somewhat ignorant opinion, that I think Ethereum can rally under these conditions, precluding an all-time high. And I'm talking about the Ether Bitcoin valuation. So the Ether Bitcoin valuation, I think, can rally as long as Bitcoin does not put in a new all-time high and as long as it does not capitulate. But the Ether USD valuation can rally under a lot of different circumstances, right? Whether Bitcoin goes up, whether Bitcoin goes sideways. If it goes down slightly, then Ethereum can still rally. Okay, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation depends on exactly what happens, but there's so many cases where the Ether USD valuation rallies, and this is why I will remain bullish on Ethereum. I put out a video earlier today talking about a realistic price prediction for Ethereum, and as I've said before, I think a 5-figure Ethereum is theoretically on the cards this market cycle. I don't know if we will make it to 5 figures. I mean, I'll certainly be taking profits before 5 figures, of course. But what I would say is that I think approximately a 5-figure Ethereum. Now, there are people that'll say a 20,000 Ethereum. I tend to not believe this. I'm not going to complain if it happens, but you know, there's some people that mistakenly look at price and not market capitalization. I mean, so you have to consider the market capitalization. You have to consider the implications. Supply is not necessarily constant here. And you have to consider the market capitalization with respect to Bitcoin. You also have to consider that the low for Ethereum this past cycle was less than $100, and for Bitcoin last cycle it was above $100, like 160 or 170, I believe. So it's not exactly a fair comparison to say that it's doing exactly the same thing. If anything, I would say a 5-figure Ethereum is theoretically possible. I think we should get to somewhere around that level, like plus or minus a few K maybe. If 20K were to happen, I'm not saying I wouldn't own Ethereum during that time. I probably would aggressively have some stops set. But what I would say is that to some degree, you might want to leave it for the pigs, right? Leave it for the pigs. If you're knee deep in Ethereum at like if it's 15K, 16K or something, at some point in any market, you have to consider leaving it for the pigs, and the pigs will be there to scoop it up. And I just hope that people that got in early enough are going to be there to change their lives for the better, and not be the ones continuing to FOMO in when it's up that much. So I think we still have a long ways to go. Some of the things I'm looking for with Ethereum. Let's pull up our regression rainbow chart, so I can kind of talk through some of the different scenarios here. So here's our general regression band. By the way, if you guys like the content, please subscribe. Let's definitely subscribe. I don't even know what we're at. I feel like the subscribers, every time I look, it goes up by like 1,000. Let's see, we're at 177,000. Let's go for 180,000. So here's our regression band for Ethereum. Okay, and so we're just chugging along. We're printing our Ethereum mountain range. If we wanted to put on a rainbow here and see sort of where we are, as I've said before, I don't think we'll make it to this band up here. Probably not this one either. But I think these two are certainly on the cards. Okay, I think these two are certainly on the cards. So I'm sort of hoping if Bitcoin does come up to a local top sometime in the next month or two before trending down for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and then sort of continuing on, maybe we'll get a 3K Ethereum is what I'm sort of looking for. I'm looking for a 3K Ethereum. And A more bullish scenario that I'm not necessarily counting on, but you can bet I'm hoping for, would be, and I honestly am not convinced it will happen in the short term, but a 5K Ethereum. Okay, a 5K Ethereum, if we hit 5K in the short term, the market's going to be crazy, and you'll have to figure out what you're going to do, but I would say be exceedingly cautious if Ethereum goes to 5K. 3K seems to be a more realistic goal. So I don't think there's too much reason to worry too much at this point about a 5K Ethereum. But I just want you guys to know that based on some of the stuff that I look at on the channel, it is possible, right? I mean, it is possible. And I don't think it would really break any of the models that we have, right? I think a 5K Ethereum would not break anything. It would still make sense. If we got a 5K Ethereum, I would expect a big correction, okay? So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying a 5K Ethereum is going to happen in the short term. But if it went to 5K, I think we would get a fairly sizable correction at that point, like probably more than 50%, right? Maybe 60% if we went to 5K. If we go to 3K and that ends up being our local top for a while, then I think we would get a sizable correction there as well. But what I would say, as I've said before, is we've seen this. This is not our first rodeo. We've seen these moves before. Remember? Back over here. So the first thing to do is we're not going to operate in a deterministic manner. We're not going to say that Bitcoin's going to go to 75K next week. We're also not going to say it's going to go to 30K next week. What we're going to do is we're going to consider the implications of either scenario. So the first scenario for Ethereum, or for Bitcoin, would be if it doesn't put in a new all-time high. So if it doesn't, and this is a local top for a while, right? Not necessarily a market cycle top, but if it's a local top, okay, then Ethereum could be emulating what it did over here in December, where it basically put in an all-time high around the same time that Bitcoin did. It was actually a couple days later because Bitcoin hit its all-time high on December 17th. Ethereum hit this all-time high right here on December 19th. It cooled down for 2 weeks. Okay, we put out a video a few days ago. I said this is probably going to age like milk, and I left it somewhat open-ended. And we said, well, if it does the same thing, then we're looking at potentially 2 weeks later where the rally continues. 2 weeks, okay? If Bitcoin stays below its prior all-time high, but is relatively bullish and say above its 20-day moving average, then this would likely be very bullish for Ethereum. So over here, we were looking at a 2-week window of reaccumulation, okay, a 2-week window. So let's go look at it today and see sort of where we are. So if we go to it today, we know that Bitcoin hit its all-time high on the 21st of February. Okay, so if we go back over to Ethereum and look at the 21st of February, it was right here. So let's go out 2 weeks. Where does 2 weeks put us? Well, it puts us today. In fact, it puts us today. So this is why, I put out the video a couple days ago when we were over here and saying, I think this might age like or like milk, because when you put out market predictions, it really just depends on what Bitcoin does. But as I've said before, this is like the Goldilocks zone for Ethereum. When Bitcoin is above its 20-week, it's above its 20-day. It's after a bounce after the all-time high, but not putting in a new all-time high yet, so it's not in price discovery mode. It's prime time, right? It's prime time for Ethereum. So the question now is, are we going to see an explosive candle tomorrow or the next day or sometime soon that takes us back to 2K? Okay, because this is what we saw. This is what we saw back in 2017, right? We saw, if we zoom in here, we saw 2 weeks of consolidation, or we saw a correction, and the correction for Bitcoin from the peak here went down 24% or 23% if you measure the peak of the wick to the bottom of the candles where we consolidated. So it went down 23%. We then sort of went up for a few days, went back down, and then we started our rally. We had 1, 2, 3. let's look at this closer. So we had this candle, 7%, 1.5%, and then we had a 14% candle. So 7, 1.5, 14. 7, 1.5, 14. So we go and look at today. And what do we see? So far we see, if it does emulate it, right? We see 7, 8, really, 7.97, but you guys can give that to me, right? 7, 4.5. We're about to come up on the daily close in 17 minutes. So if we see it emulate 2017 in any way, shape, or form, then hopefully tomorrow's candle will be a doozy. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I really don't know what's going to happen. We're just sort of preparing for what could happen if history were to repeat itself. So we had 2 candles that were sort of nothing to get out of bed for. And then we had like a 14% candle that blasted us above the prior all-time high. So for us to get above the prior all-time high, let's suppose we close this candle at 1727, we would actually have to go up 18%. So that's probably not going to happen tomorrow. There are not many days where you'll see Ethereum go up 18%, but I just want people to be aware that times can change relatively quickly. You can go from being very bearish on Ethereum to, and people saying things like Ethereum is dead, to then all of a sudden everyone wants to FOMO back into Ethereum because the narratives on the other coins have been spent in the short term and people want to go back and take their profits to the almighty Ethereum as it goes on a rampage and profits bleed back into it. So one of the nice things though that you have to consider, and this is a bullish scenario. This is like the most bullish scenario for altcoins that I could imagine. The most bullish scenario for altcoins in the short term that I could imagine would be Bitcoin continuing to stay below its prior all-time high, and then the Ethereum surge starting. Because what happened last time, if we repeat, what happened last time with Ethereum is that it started this rally the very end of December, and it continued for 2 weeks. And in this span right here, a lot of altcoins were going absolutely crazy, putting 100% a day. Okay, so if the Ethereum rally starts, we don't know yet. We don't know if this is the beginning of the Ethereum rally or not. If the Ethereum rally starts, then you might see altcoins flying, and people are probably going to be taking profit after profit after profit back to Ethereum. Now that's the bullish case. Okay. Now we have to cover our bases. We don't want to operate deterministically on this channel, because if you do, then when things don't go your way, like a lot of YouTubers, they'll scream market manipulation, blah blah blah. It's a bunch of garbage, right? It's called a market. People buy, people sell. It's not market manipulation. I mean, unless you're stopping trading, like on like GameStop a few weeks ago. Yeah, that's market manipulation, where you're literally not allowing people to buy the stock. But in terms of people just selling it and suppressing the price, it's either all market manipulation or it's not, right? If I go buy Bitcoin right now or sell it, someone could call that, someone might say that's market manipulation because I'm doing something. But it's either all market manipulation here or it's not. And in my opinion, it's just a market, right? It's a market. It's nothing more. If it does something that you don't predict, it's not because it's being manipulated by someone. It's just that you made a BS prediction and it didn't pan out. So what I would say is that no one can accurately predict the market in the short term. I can't do it. I mean, maybe sometimes we get lucky, but oftentimes our predictions will be wrong. One exercise you can do to prove to yourself that you have no idea what will happen in the short term is every time you go to bed at night, pull up like an hourly chart or a minute chart, right? Pull up like an hourly chart like this or something. And then just sort of draw what you think will happen, right? Draw what you think will happen. And then when you wake up, come back and see how wrong you were. And I'm guaranteeing you, well, I can't guarantee anything, but more times than not, you will be wrong about what happens. So just try it for like 2 weeks and see how close you get to actually predicting what's going to happen, right? I'm not saying actually trade based off of it. Just pull up like an hourly chart, go to sleep, and then when you wake up, maybe even like a 15-minute chart, because hourly charts, you might only get 6 or 7 candles while you're sleeping. I mean, depending on how long you sleep, I guess. But if you pull up maybe like a 15-minute chart, just draw what you think will happen. When you wake up in the morning, you can come back and see how wrong you were. And maybe sometimes you get it right, but more than likely it's going to be wrong. And the reason is because we cannot really predict what's going to happen in the short term. Every time I see some YouTuber scream Head and Shoulders, the next day they're saying, oh, it's invalidated. I mean, it's because it was never there, and because it doesn't matter, right? It just doesn't matter. You can find these patterns throughout a lot of TA, and a lot of times they don't pan out, and when they do pan out, people scream that they were right, but a lot of times they don't pan out, and then they just look the other way and say, okay, well, it was negated. It's not useful, in my opinion. It's not worth spending your time on. In my opinion, the short-term movements, as I've said before, it's a random walk, geometric Brownian motion. You cannot realistically predict it. So let's just take it for what it is and go from there, right? And prove it to yourself, right? Draw a few squiggles before you go to sleep at night and see how wrong you are on predicting exactly what happens. And if that's not enough to convince you, then I don't know what will. So let's see where Bitcoin is. So again, Bitcoin is above... Bitcoin's back above the 20-day, so you can see Ethereum's looking pretty good, but again, it's still below 0.034. I would say here, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, we would obviously like to come back up to the top of the channel. By the way, if we did come to the top of the channel, it might look something like this. If we come up to this level, we'd be looking at a valuation of 0.05. Maybe slightly above 0.05, maybe slightly above 0.05. So it'd be 1/20th the price of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is, say, 50K, 1/20th of that would be a $2,500 Ethereum. So with that in mind, the other thing I want to talk about is something that people don't like talking about, but we're going to talk about it anyways because people need to hear it. Okay. The other possibility, and by the way, this possibility does not necessarily preclude coins like Ethereum from making a run in the meantime. Okay, we have to consider the one possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we have to consider it, and that's the fact that we know that at some point, we've been saying it forever. And again, we're going to have a lot more gray hairs by the time it actually happens. We will likely test the 20-week at some point. And I mean, the last time we tested it was over here in September. We left it in early October. Would I be surprised if Bitcoin faked everyone out in a week or something and then just dropped back to the 20-week moving average? No, I would not at all. I would not be surprised at all. There's a lot of new money in the space. A lot of people are euphoric. And especially if altcoins start to make a major move in like the next week or so, if that happens, then people are probably going to start feeling invincible. They're going to feel like, they're a genius. They're going to be, prancing around their house like they're like they're Warren Buffett or something. So just keep an eye on the 20-week. The reason why it's important is because we're actually approaching 30K. So in about 9 minutes, for the first time ever, the 20-week moving average of the price of Bitcoin will cross $30,000. Okay, $30,000. That's a huge milestone. If you're new to the channel, you might wonder why the Bitcoin bull market support band, which consists of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, why is it important? Well, we've discussed it endlessly over here, and we said over here that if we hold it as support, sentiment can change on a dime. Now, admittedly, it changed a lot quicker than I thought it would. I did not anticipate when we left it at 10K that we were about to make a dash to $58,000 and maybe even higher, but it does not change the fact that holding this as support can cause the market sentiment to change on a dime. And we were sitting at $10,000. A lot of people were waiting for $9,600. The Gap boys waiting for the CME gap to fill in the one-day time frame. We said back then, it's likely not going to fill, and even if it does fill, is it worth waiting $300 or $400? The people that waited got burned because it never went back to it. Basically, it's like Bitcoin gave them the middle finger and said, you know what? It's not being filled. Enough with this gap nonsense. It's not going to be filled, and we said that back then. It's not worth waiting a couple $100s for some nebulous CME gap to fill because people said it always filled. Well, we didn't have it in the last bull market, so there's no evidence that it's going to fill in the bull market. So Also, last cycle, we tested the 20-week moving average a lot. That's where we ultimately held support. A lot of times we had 40% corrections to the 20 weeks. Sometimes they were 25% or 20%. Sometimes they were 40%. We had several of them. Okay? So that is something to keep in mind. And the reason I'm saying it is not to scare you, because I feel like this channel should be built on just, data. Don't let emotions come into it. If we do drop, it's nothing more, in my opinion, than an opportunity, because I do think Bitcoin will trend to 6 figures this market cycle. Whether it does that sooner or later, I don't know. But if it does drop to the 20-week moving average, I would consider that to be an opportunity, not something that you need to be running for the hills for. So the reason why it's interesting, again, is because it's about to break $30,000. Currently, the 20-week moving average is at $29,868. The 21-week EMA is at $32,692. So in about 6 minutes, we'll see it break 30K. And the reason why that's somewhat interesting is because from the current level, if we were to drop to the 20-week, that would represent a 40% drop. And we saw a lot of 40% drops last cycle. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I know the majority of people in the space are calling for like a $75,000 Bitcoin in March. And I'll be the first to admit that there's a decent chance that happens. As I've always said, momentum is hard to stop. I've also seen this in the past where everyone and their mom is calling for higher prices and then it doesn't happen. And then everyone says, well, of course, this is a healthy correction. Okay, so let's just go into it. Let's be pragmatic, right? Whether it goes up or down is not really a huge problem at this point. If it goes to, say, the 20-week moving average, so what? If it doesn't, then great, we're heading higher. So we'll just keep that in mind. So keep it in mind. Look towards, if we do get a drop, I don't even think the 20-week moving average is the first spot to look anyways. It would probably be some of these other moving averages, like the 50-day. So before even considering the 20-week, I would look towards the 50-day, because we might hold support there in the event of a drop, right? I mean, we can have drops. We've seen market sentiment change very quickly. If we did have a drop to the 50-day, that would represent about a 15% drop down to $43,000. No one's going to be surprised if that happens. So if that happens, look to potentially hold that as support, because that's where we held a support over here. If it doesn't hold in the event of a correction, I would look towards the 20-week. And it doesn't mean the bull market's over if we go to the 20-week, in fact. We could go to 30K and still be fine. It just means we would like to come out and hold the line. Okay, so let's see it. We're going to actually get the weekly close in about 4 minutes. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. We have 4,300 viewers. We've never had this many viewers on a live stream. Definitely subscribe to the channel. And give the video a thumbs up. Click on the bell icon to turn notifications on. Remember, we do have a Telegram channel. We actually have 21,000 members, which I like that number. So if you want to join the Telegram channel, I'll post it. I'll post it in the chat. So check out the Telegram channel if you guys are looking for a community to join. Check that out. And also, remember, we do have the premium list altcoin season sale. I'll post that in the chat as well. You get access to the weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the trading view indicators, premium only live streams, and more. Some other really exciting things. Check it out. We'll run it for about 7 more days. So if you guys want to lock in the low rate, we'll run it for 7 more days. So what we've covered what does Bitcoin need to do for Ethereum to rally? I mean, you can see even since we started the stream, Ethereum is rallying as a nice break from what normally happens when we come on stream. So since we started the stream, Ethereum is rallying. We know that Bitcoin is above its 20-day moving average. It had a bounce from its prior all-time high. This is the prime catalyst for Ethereum. We'll see if Ethereum can rally. Remember, though, we get a lot of volatility around weekly closes sometimes, not always. So let's see if we get when we get our weekly close here in 3 minutes. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens as we start to put on as we begin our new weekly candle. Okay, so we'll want to keep an eye on that. Yeah, I know I need to get a haircut. It's just so hard. Like, who has the time to go get a haircut these days? All right, yeah, we got 2 minutes before the weekly close. So we'll just see what happens at the weekly close. I mean, remember, we'll have a 50K Bitcoin. We'll have our 20 week at 30K. That would represent a 40% drop. That would be the bearish scenario. A bullish scenario for Ethereum would be if Bitcoin can just hold the line here for a week or two at the very least, and then that could be a great opportunity for Ethereum to rally. So what I'm hoping for is I would like to see Ethereum rally. Selfishly, I would like to see Ethereum rally against Bitcoin. Right? I would like to see it rally against Bitcoin. I mean, if Bitcoin goes up to a new all-time high, that'll be good for Ether USD, but we're sort of kicking the can down the road on the Ether Bitcoin valuation momentum shift to occur. What do you get with the alt season sale? You get access to the weekly reports. We have a weekly report every single week. We just put one out. We have weekly videos. These are premium videos. We have a risk dashboard, a Telegram trading, or a Telegram alerts channel, trading view indicators. One thing, there's some more things as well. Like we just launched something that we're getting people onboarded to, but it's like it's basically a way to quickly check risk levels and stuff. All right, we have 1 minute until the close. So let's see what happens. Ethereum's holding up relatively well despite Bitcoin slightly pulling back. We're still at 1727. So we have our weekly close. We're going to watch the weekly close come in, and we're going to see for the first time ever the 20-week moving average go above $30,000. So it's currently at $29,847. We are about to break $30,000 for our bull market support, and there it goes. Our bull market support is now at 31,744. Okay, so we just printed a new weekly candle. We are now, so that the bull market support band now ranges from 31,746 up to 34,325. So this would now be the area that if Bitcoin were to drop to, we could still be in a bull market, and as long as we're above, as long as we maintain ourselves above that level. So we do this every week. If you're new, you're probably wondering what's the significance, right? It's just to say that in the event of a drop, that is where we would want to hold the line to maintain the integrity of the bull market. Nothing more, nothing less. But that's just essentially, where we would want to hold the line. And you can see that Bitcoin is slightly pulling back, but Ethereum's looking pretty strong now. And remember what we said is that if history is any indication and we get a nice surge with Ethereum here today, then it might not be so long before we're looking at another $2,000 Ethereum. Does premium get you access to my barber? Actually, my wife recently, she offered to cut my hair. I haven't taken her up on it yet. Oh, you guys want to see the price? Now you can see it. Jason says he signed up with his friend Sal. Can we get a shout out? Yeah, thanks for signing up. Yeah, we'll get a haircut for the when the bear market hits, right? Now I'll probably get a haircut soon. But let's see if we get the Ether rally we were talking about. If Bitcoin holds, my opinion is if Bitcoin just holds here, Ethereum's about to pop even more. Again, I'm not really good at short-term predictions by any means, but this is what I would speculate on, is if Bitcoin simply holds, then we're going to see some good stuff for Ethereum. I mean, we can do some dubious short-term price speculation if you guys want to, but as I said before, right? If history repeats, then this could be a nice daily candle for our Ether USD. If history repeats from a few years ago. let's see if we can keep this moving up, because again, we're still playing in the sandbox at 1742. Um, Stand bed, right? I don't think you need to get out of bed yet. 1745. All right. Looks like Bitcoin's pulling up too as well. So again, we know that Ether will do well if Bitcoin's going up. We would like it to outperform Bitcoin. So let's actually look at our Ether Bitcoin valuation. So this is a nice reversal here, as some people would say, like an engulfing candle. Or, well, I guess it's not technically, but right, maybe this is a momentum shift of the Ether Bitcoin valuation. We are back at 0.034. Looks like Bitcoin is actually struggling to continue moving up, while Ether, I mean, it's not really struggling, it's still at 51.2, but I mean, now Ether's at 1740. So Ether's coming out of the gate fairly strong. I think it is. I think people are starting to get a little bit more confidence in Ethereum as Bitcoin volatility over the last several days has started to reduce down. Okay, and it being above the 20-day moving average, in my opinion, is only going to be better for Ethereum, right? It's only going to be better as long as Bitcoin doesn't put out a new all-time high. Bruno says, Ben, Litecoin did not pump yet this market cycle. Do you believe it could? I've said before, I think Litecoin will pump somewhat, but every dollar you put into Litecoin, there's a huge opportunity cost there. I do think that a lot of other coins will drastically outperform Litecoin. It's not necessarily a dig at Litecoin. It's just looking at the data. There's a lot of people that get mad at me for dissing on their coin, for saying their coin is not necessarily worth putting a lot of money in. You just look at the chart, right? I mean, like, don't take it up with me. Take it up with the data. I'm just interpreting the data. People say thanks, Ben, for what you. I mean, it's literally just thank the data. Litecoin is down 81% against Ethereum since April of 2019. So if you had been loading up on Ethereum back then, as opposed to Litecoin, you'd be doing so much better. For every Litecoin you bought back then, you'd be down 81% against Ethereum. It's not that Litecoin can't pump. It's just that every dollar you put in Litecoin is a dollar you're not putting into something else. And this is the reason why I say I would not be betting the family farm, in my opinion, on Litecoin. There's better projects, in my opinion, out there, and I think that the price represents that, right? The price represents that. Down 81, I mean, like, I can understand down 81% against Bitcoin, right? A lot of coins are down like that. Down 81% against Ethereum when Ethereum also dropped during the bear market by 90%, and Litecoin was able to go 80% loss to Ethereum that dropped during the bear market or the accumulation phase. Come on, right? Come on. So I would say I think that it's not necessarily worth focusing too much on Litecoin because the opportunity cost is very high. Yeah, I know the phone. I feel like my phone vibrates like every 5 seconds now. Sorry if you guys can hear that. Puff Dragon says, you guys have no technical knowledge whatsoever. Litecoin is amazing. So let's actually talk about this. So from a perspective of the price, how can you dispute an 81% drop against Ethereum? You have the floor, my friend. Try to convince. How would you convince an investor that they should buy an asset that just continues to bleed against Ethereum year over year over year? And not only that, not only does it bleed against Ethereum year over year, it also bleeds against Bitcoin year over year. So if you have a problem with what I'm saying, I've said before, I think Litecoin will trend up against USD this market cycle. It might even have a 200% surge against Bitcoin and go back up to this level. The point, though, is to say I think Ethereum will outperform Litecoin. I think Cardano will outperform Litecoin. I think Polkadot will outperform Litecoin. I think Chainlink will outperform Litecoin. So if I think everything else is going to outperform Litecoin, why would I bet the family farm on Litecoin? Again, I'm not claiming that Litecoin won't do well. The only thing I'm claiming is that a lot of other coins will quite handily likely outperform it. That is what I'm claiming, and that is why I'm saying that this is the reason why we don't talk about Litecoin that much on the channel, is just because I don't think it will outperform a lot of the other coins. I think the other coins will outperform. DOT, I mean, DOT is a champ, right? Who here in the chat is on the DOT train, right? Who's on the DOT train? It's a fun train to be on, right? And look at the similarities here. Something I wanna draw your attention to are the similarities between DOT's launch and Ethereum's launch. And I've showed it before with the Ether Bitcoin valuation and the DOT Bitcoin. Look at the similarities here. Look at these similarities. Okay? Take a snapshot in your mind. Ether USD, early 2016, ending in mid-March. Okay? This is Ether USD. DOT USD. I mean, look at this. It's so they're almost identical, right? I mean, they're almost identical. And that's why also the Ether Bitcoin valuation and the DOT Bitcoin valuation look almost identical as well, right? If you don't believe me, let's just pull it up, right? As I don't trust, verify, don't take my word for it. You definitely shouldn't take my word for it. Let's pull up the chart and show it. Because if I ever say something that's wrong, like, call me out on it. So the daily chart for DOT Bitcoin. Look at the similarities here, again, between DOT Bitcoin at launch and Ether Bitcoin at launch. Let's go back and look. So we need to switch this to the daily so we can look at it the same way. Look at this. Look at the similarities here. Launch in August, down in Q4, back up to the top in January, breakthrough in February. So look at the similarities between the DOT Bitcoin value or the Ether Bitcoin valuation at launch and the DOT Bitcoin valuation at launch. Look at the similarities between the Ether USD valuation at launch and the DOT USD valuation at launch. A lot of similarities. This is why I'm on the DOT train. If you guys follow the channel, and this was not just on the premium list, right? We were talking about on the public channel too. I was saying this is a prime accumulation phase for DOT. We're going to look back and say this was one hell of an accumulation phase. Here we are. We're off to the races. Now, what if we were to continue to emulate it? Well, at some point, we might trend sideways for a while and even go down. But even in that situation, you might just have to wait a year, right? Just wait, right? Time is on our side. And there's a decent chance that we continue trending higher later on if it were to cool off for a while. So, and remember, a lot of these you can actually earn interest on. Okay, there are platforms you can earn interest on it. You can forget about it, just earn interest on it, and then whenever you do go to sell a long time from now, potentially, then you'll hopefully have a lot more than you otherwise would have. So remember to subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you guys like the content. I don't even know what we're at now. We're at 177,000 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out the Telegram channel. You can find a link to the Telegram channel in the description below. We have over 21,000 people. If you join the Telegram channel and someone DMs you pretending to be me, you can tell them to F off. It's not me. You can tell them off. I don't care. They're not me. So check out the Telegram channel. We have over 21,000 people. What's the difference between Patreon and the alt season sale? They're the same thing, just different platforms. So if you prefer Patreon, you can sign up there if you prefer that. And remember to check out the premium list if you guys are looking to join that. We have about 7 more days before we're going to raise the prices. So check that out. All right, what else do you guys want to talk about? Let's see where Ethereum is. We're at 1741. Let's see if the Ether rally can continue. I mean, I would personally like to see it at least go to 1800 today if we're going to continue to emulate at all what we did last time. Okay, so let's keep an eye on this. Because so far it looks eerily similar, right? If you go back to December of 2017, it does look eerily similar so far. I think the main way that it would stop looking similar is if Bitcoin goes and puts in a new all-time high. Then I think it won't look as similar anymore. But so far, we're still $7,000 away from an all-time high for Bitcoin. So we're not really flirting with an all-time high right now. We're still in that like perfect zone for Ethereum to rally. The main coins that I cover on the channel, on the public channel, are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. I think these 5 coins represent a solid portfolio. I do have other coins, but those are by far those 5 coins make up the majority of my portfolio. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. I think it gives you a decent exposure. I do also own other coins. Uni is a coin I own. It's been doing relatively well recently. Avalanche, I own Avalanche. There's also a few other ones as well. But for the most part right now, the majority of it is in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Cardano, and Polkadot. I do think those will stand the test of time. We don't talk about small cap coins here because, you know, if you want to go talk about small cap coins, there's enough YouTube channels that'll pump and dump on you for that. So you can go ask them what they want to dump on you. But there's plenty of YouTubers that are willing to show you their bags. We're not for us to talk about it on this channel. We need to see it at least have at a $1 billion market capitalization. If it's above 1 billion and I like it, then I'll talk about it. If it's below 1 billion and I like it, I won't talk about it. So yeah, we'll do some I know you guys like the realistic price prediction video stuff. I mean, to some degree it's bunch, you know, like we really don't know, but I'm just trying to give people useful information as opposed to the people that are just shilling like ridiculous price predictions and not really backing it up on anything other than saying things like, oh, fundamentals, great community, stuff that no one's going to care about in the event of a major dump, right? As I've said before, the reason I don't talk about fundamentals in the bull market primarily is because there'll be plenty of time in the bear market to argue about why prices aren't going up and the fundamentals are so great. So we primarily don't talk about fundamentals, especially in a bull market, because at some point it's more or less just about FOMO rather than actual fundamental stuff. Yeah, Uniswap has, you know, when Uniswap launched, I said, I think it's a top 20 coin. It might pop its head in the top 10 occasionally. Right now, it's actually a number 8. And if you don't include stable coins, it's actually a number 7. So Uniswap is doing relatively well. And I think Uniswap will continue to do well. We have a few videos on Uniswap on the channel. I do own Uniswap for full disclosure. This is one that as I've said before, I think when altcoins are doing well, Uniswap will generally do well. I have a lot more Polkadot than Uniswap, like a lot more Polkadot. But Uniswap is one that I do have an eye on. Link, I'm very bullish on Link, but with regards to Link, I would more so expect a major move whenever Bitcoin volatility, or whenever the entire market cap, or whenever the entire asset class is essentially calmed down. Link can have major move, like it can have nice moves, like it could go to $35 next week for all we know. But if we're talking about like $100 Link or something, I think we still are several months away from that at the very least. Yeah, so once I look at the wick, this is on Kraken. So there was a wick down to like $700 on this exchange. It's absolutely ridiculous. I actually picked up some ether here at around 1,028. I had a buy order that I actually forgot about, and it filled like right here. I got really lucky. I also had some buy orders on some other coins, but I missed them. None of them got filled. I was fortunate to pick up some Ethereum right here at around $1,028. Unfortunately, I could have picked up a lot more if I had put in the buy at $700, but I didn't know that, so. No, I'm not making an altcoin. There's enough garbage coins on the market. If I did not have any Ethereum, would I buy any? I've said many times that if I did not own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, or DOT, I would DCA into all of them systematically, even recognizing the fact that things are really overextended right now. But I would do so from a perspective of I'm going to keep doing this for at least the next year. and then I'll assess where we are. And I will hope for the prices to go down if I were new to the market and only just now beginning to DCA. I would hope, if I were in that position, I would hope they go down. Because I'm not in that position, I hope they go up. But if I were in that position, I would buy with the expectation or the desire that those coins would actually lose value so that I can continue DCAing and grow my position, because I do think they will stand the test of time and ultimately trend up over the duration of the entire market cycle, even in the event of a short-term correction. And we don't even know if we're going to get a short-term correction, right? I mean, right now we have a 51.5K Bitcoin, still well away from the prior all-time high. So remember, going above 50K or 58K will be price discovery mode. So keep an eye on that. DCA stands for dollar cost average. Make sure you guys subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up. Check out the Telegram channel, check out the premium list. All sorts of stuff. Let me post the Telegram channel. I'm going to post 2 Telegram channels. So we'll post the main Telegram channel. Give me a minute, I'm also going to post one more Telegram channel that you guys might enjoy. It's called Into the Cryptocosm. We have almost 5,000 people in there. So if you want to go show your altcoin, your microcap, you go do it in there. Into the Cryptocosm. Go check it out. Almost 5,000 people. They talk about microcaps all the time. I'm not very active in there. But if you want to go talk about microcaps, that is the Telegram room to do it in. By the way, I don't know if you guys realize this, but I do have a Twitter. I have almost 35,000 followers on there. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I'll post it in the chat as well. So you can follow me on Twitter if you want. All right, let's take a look. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin's at 51.5. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, okay? So let's see where we were, because we definitely moved out of this downtrend we were in for a while. I know we were discussing this downtrend for a while here. We were in it, and then we have broken out, but it is trending back down now. So I do think that it could drop a lot further if it just holds at 51.5. I feel like a lot of coins will start to make major moves against it. But now I think a lot of people are sort of looking at the market and saying, well, is Bitcoin going to chill out? Is it about to go put in a new all-time high? What's going on? So some coins are starting to pump, like Ethereum's up. It's already at $1,738. So Ethereum is up, 5% in the last 24 hours, 21% on the week. So Ethereum's doing quite well. If you notice, whenever Bitcoin starts to rally to the upside, it sort of puts Ether's Bitcoin valuation on pause. Ether Bitcoin valuation might drop back down a little. Whenever Bitcoin calms down, then Ethereum starts to make another move. If you watch it enough, you'll see it. Right now, Bitcoin's actually making a move to 51.6. So Ethereum's not making a major breakout against Bitcoin quite yet, because there's still some implication of, well, what if it goes back into price discovery mode above 58K? DOT's looking pretty good. It maintained itself above the 21-day EMA at least. Now it's back above the 20-day SMA. So the DOT train is continuing for now. Hopefully it will continue for a while longer. Let's see if we can get to a 1750 Ethereum. We're currently at 1744.57, and Bitcoin's at 51.6. Yeah, you guys should follow me on Twitter if you want to see me ramble on. I actually just put out a tweet earlier saying, for the record, I think the laser eye stuff is ridiculous. So stop asking me to change my portfolio picture to laser eyes. So if you want to see me mess around with the people on Twitter, you can follow me there. I actually do post some useful charts on Twitter. If you guys like scroll down, you'll see some useful charts occasionally. And so you might check it out. I go through phases where like I use it a lot, and then I go through phases where I don't use it. All right. We've been going for an hour. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. We're still coming in shy of 178,000 subscribers, but what can you do? Kogi says 1740 Ethereum is nice. I wonder how 1750 Ethereum would feel like. I agree. I think a 1750 Ether would feel quite good. Let's see if we get there. Okay, let's see if we get there. Glad you like the channel. Would I take the tax hit and trade Bitcoin for Ethereum? I generally try to avoid short-term capital gains if I can, so I don't know if that answers your question, but if I can, I try to avoid short-term capital gains. If it's long-term, then it makes it easier. Yeah, I would look to look for Link maybe to make a major move a little bit later on. I'm not saying, I mean, I still think it can go to $35 or $40 in the short term, but I don't necessarily envision a $100 Link like next week or anything. Randy says he wants to subscribe, but there's just too many videos clogging up his feed. I'm sorry for inconveniencing you. All right. Should we wrap it up there? Oh, look, there's another scammer in the chat who's pretending to be me. These guys really need to work on their English. Their English is pretty much garbage. Do well to respond? Like, who the hell says that? Do well to respond. Who says that? Ada, yeah, we can talk about Ada. I mean, the main reason I wasn't talking about it was because I feel like it had a great run and it was just cooling off for a while. So I wasn't necessarily expecting it to do anything for a little bit. But one thing that is interesting is that it is at the 20-day moving average. So it might be a consideration. You can see it's currently riding the 20-day. The 20-day moving average is at $1.12. Right now we're at 114. So we've seen some. I mean, ADA hasn't really respected the 20-day that much. But we have seen some coins really respect that 20-day moving average. Like DOT is one that has respected the 20-day moving average quite well. ADA is currently at its 20-day moving average. Let's actually take a look at the ADA Ether valuation and see what's going on. So it has come back down some. It doesn't mean it can't pump again. but it has come back down a little bit here. All right, let's see where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's back below 51.5. Ethereum's still trying to hold on to 1740. Was the laser eye meme an indication of euphoria that contributed to the Bitcoin pullback? I think it's just a lot of people acting kind of weird, honestly. Like, I don't know. Tell us the good sides of having a channel and the bad sides. Well, I think one of the good things about having like your own channel is you can express yourself and talk about ideas, and people will listen. The hard part is if you do start a YouTube channel, it's really hard early on. Like, I mean, my channel's big now, but I mean, to give you an idea of how long it took for my channel to grow, I spent 5 months just getting to 500 subscribers. Like, I legitimately spent 5 months. I launched the channel in like June of 2019. It took me until October or November or something to get to 500 subscribers. So if you do start a YouTube channel, just recognize that it takes a lot of work, and once you get one video to go like to do well, to go viral or something, then you can start growing a little bit quicker. But for a while, it just feels like you're just throwing videos out there and like 5 people are watching them. Yeah, it took me 5 months to get to 500 subscribers. Yeah. And of course, the other thing is no matter what you say, right? I mean, like, even if I say I don't know what's going to happen in the short term 1,000 times, if the market were to dump tomorrow, which always there's a really good chance of, even the 20-week moving average is now at $31,000, which we could always go to, no matter what you say, in the event of a correction, people are always upset, right? Because people don't like losing money. So this is why I always say don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Recognize that there will be dips along the way. As long as you can stomach that, then I think we're in for one hell of a ride. But you have to be prepared for that. What video would I say was the turning point for my channel? It was actually when I did a video on like Bitcoin logarithmic regression, and that was the one that went viral and actually started to bring in a lot of people. Um, Actually, when I first started, I got some really bad advice, and someone's like, "Oh, don't talk about Bitcoin. Everyone already talks about Bitcoin. There's enough people that talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. You should just talk about other coins." Some of the worst advice. All right, Bitcoin's at 51.6. Ether's at 1742. See if we can get that 1750 Ether. Yeah, I saw that too. My video on Cardano that I published 3 days ago is now my most popular video ever. Like, I did not expect it. I think the reason it became my most popular video is because a lot of the major crypto YouTube channels that have like 500,000 subscribers or 600,000 subscribers or something, they're all calling for like a $50 ADA. And then I spent the entire video showing people how a $50 ADA is absurd this market cycle. And so I think it just probably got recommended off their videos. So that's the reason why I think it did so well, is because people were already watching these other people show like a $50 ADA. I was like, hold up a second, we're not going to a $50 ADA this market cycle, almost assuredly. That would imply a $2 trillion market capitalization, which is double what Bitcoin's current market cap is, even at 51K. So I think that's why it probably is the most popular video, is because all these other major channels were launching clickbait garbage on ADA going to $50. And I'm like, guys, this is almost assuredly not happening this market cycle, and they're just trying to get the clicks. I mean, if you think about it, right, they're just trying to get the clicks, because the more people that click, the more people that watch their ads, the more money they make, the more times they'll click on their affiliate links to make money, so that the more times they'll show you their leverage trading account so they get paid. Don't fall for the clickbait, right? Don't fall for the clickbait. It's honestly crazy to me that so many YouTubers just post pictures of themselves with their mouths open on every single thumbnail. Like, come on. And if every video is an emergency video, then none of them are. This is my interpretation of them. I mean, if you can't say every video is an emergency, because then none of them are emergencies. All right, we're looking at a 1749 Ether. Maybe I should make an emergency video one day. Or actually, what I thought about doing was making like a non-emergency video in all capital letters, but saying like non-emergency video. Some of their intros are ridiculous. Like, they spend like 3 minutes shilling you all their affiliate links before actually talking about anything useful. Come on. Alright, we are at 1744. It actually looks like maybe we hit 1750. You can see it right here. It looks like maybe we briefly hit 1750 and I just missed it. I don't know why we're looking at the daily time frame. Let's go in and look at a minute time frame and see what's going on. Yeah, it looks like we went to 1750 briefly. By the way, we started streaming 1 hour and 12 minutes ago, so 72 minutes ago. 1 hour and 12 minutes. So, I mean, some might say that the live stream curse is broken right here in this video, because we're actually up from 1691 to 1743. So maybe the live stream curse is broken. But then again, I started live streaming not because the market was pumping. I started streaming because we were coming in on the weekly close. So maybe we got the pump because I started streaming before the pump happens. A lot of times I would wait for this pump to happen, and then I would start streaming at like 1744, and then we would spend like an hour waiting for it to do something. I'm sort of just waiting for this like this blitz, right? I'm waiting for Ethereum to just start blitzing, and it, like, it doesn't really stop. This is what I'm waiting for. It hasn't really happened yet. I mean, it is moving up, but it hasn't started like blitzing blitzing up the price chart. We're still at 1745. No, my channel will never. My channel will not be larger than these other guys doing the clickbait. They're just not, because they appeal to a lot more people than my channel appeals to. But I'm actually happy with having the subscribers that I do. So I don't their channels grow faster than mine. There's no way. I mean, they're they get like 100,000 views per video. Um, there's actually a lot of evidence, right? If you look into like how to market YouTube videos, there's a lot of evidence that actually, I mean, I'm all about the data, right? So the data suggests that by putting your face on the YouTube thumbnail, it does get more views, and by making like a shocked face, it does get more views. And by posting your video like in all capital letters with like 10 exclamation points, it does get more views. So by not doing that, I know I'm not going to get as many views. But I mean, that's just the way it is, right? I mean, I could put my face up there, but it takes too much work, right? I don't have time for that. All right, let's see if we get to 1750, 1748.90. Let's see what Bitcoin's at 51.5, 51.6. All right, 1750. We just hit 1750. Ether Bitcoin still at 0.0339, so nothing too crazy yet. All right. Well, we hit 1750. I don't know that I want to stay on for another hour and wait till like, wait for higher levels, but let's check in on Dot. Dot's doing okay. 8 is still at 114, 115. Link is at around $29. Ethereum is just below 1750. Maybe we'll keep it going as long as this doesn't break, right? So let's see if this breaks, and maybe I'll sign off. But as long as this doesn't break, maybe we'll keep going for a little bit to see if we can climb much higher. Remember to check out the Telegram channel. I'll post it in the chat. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Remember that if anyone DMs you, it's not me. So just ignore them. You can tell them off. You can pretend like you're interested for a while just to waste their time. Whatever you want to do. It's not me. Just remember that if someone messages you in the comments spamming a WhatsApp, it's not me. If they message you to tell you to email someone, it's not me. Most likely it's not me. Unless you see the little white check mark next to my name, then it's me. Right? But otherwise, it's not me. Bitcoin's pushing up still. I mean, we're essentially, if you look at where we are, let's go over to say like 4-hour candles. Not because they're useful. I mean, just to see kind of where we are. So we're kind of right at these candles that we hit over here. Because we came up to 52K the other day, but we quite handily got rejected from it. But the last time Bitcoin went to 52K a few days ago, the valuation of Ethereum was a lot lower than 1750. So we know that Ether Bitcoin is doing well because now that Bitcoin's back up to the same level, Ethereum's much higher than it was a few days ago. Well, we're getting close. We're now at 51.7. About 51.7. Let's keep an eye on Ethereum. Ethereum's continuing to march on up. I should actually get going. because it's actually getting kind of late. I mean, I might need to go figure out food or something for my kids. So maybe I should actually get going. We might come on and do a live stream later, or maybe I'll post another video later. But I probably should get going and just hold down the fort, right? Keep an eye on the price of Ethereum. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts to get too crazy, then alts will bleed against it. If it stays in this region, we'll likely see some alt rallies. But if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Let's go for 200,000 subscribers. We're getting pretty close. So check out the premium list altcoin season sale to go on for another 7 days or so. But thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you